Awesome. We are live as people are coming in. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. Go ahead as you're entering, drop it in the chat. Where are you joining us from? It's always fun to see all the different states, sometimes countries that
All
people are
right,
joining
Seattle,
us.
welcome. San Diego, Oregon. Okay. Seattle's actually one of my top 10 places to live. I
Oh.
love fall and like the whole like fall ensemble look. So yeah, Seattle is West Virginia. Okay. Washington, Nebraska. Okay. Fremont, Oregon, West Coast. I
Oh.
see you.
They're coming in.
Indianapolis. Okay, Midwest. Native Chicagoan here. Awesome. Canada, Texas. All right.
Wow.
Cali.
Love your
Yes.
background teams. Look at somebody else giving you the
Yes,
shout
these are
out.
my HBCUs, Karen. My children are, we are the HBCU Ready Computer Science Classroom here in Atlanta, Georgia. So yes, I have them all over. I'm pretty sure my roommate is tired of my in-house. I was like, I didn't sign up for this to have my living room turned into a classroom,
Turn
but
into a classroom. That's what my husband says about our bedroom all the time. I don't think we're supposed to do PD from your bedroom.
there's my wonderful sister Yuritsa from Brooklyn, representing New York. She's one of my Flipgrid buddies.
Oh, she's the one that did that cool, the music
Yes.
tag or
Mhm.
whatever. I was all over. That was so cool, Yaritza.
She is the most awesome person. Like
She did the cool check-in too the other morning for educators to like do a Flipgrid check-in or whatever. Like we do a temperature check, but it was
oh,
like
Karen, it is my HBC sweatpants.
okay.
Listen, full disclosure here, honey. I am definitely that teacher. It's just like,
That's too funny.
I love it.
Oh,
Like my kids, I'm like, guys, it was one day, I was got in the moment. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. No, we're going.
oh my goodness. Well, we're going to get us started because I know you were here to learn some incredible tech tips from our amazing Victor Hicks here today, Coach Hicks, as he is known on Twitter, where I had the privilege of coming across him and getting to start following some incredible educators out there. But I was moved and impressed with all of the easy to use tech tools and ways that he was sharing some of that information out. And so I asked if he would be willing to share it with you, amazing folks. And of course, he graciously is here. So I am going to hand it over. I'm going to disappear behind the scenes because that's where I work best. And then he can take over. So, Victor, thank you so much for being here. And
You are
the
more than
floor
welcome.
is
It's so
yours.
awesome to be here with all of these. I feel like, it's more like teacher team. It's so necessary. Like, I feel like it's just this more of this like camaraderie and family. So I love opportunities like this. So
The
thanks
more
for
we
having me.
collaborate. Heck yeah. All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, guys. Please feel free to go ahead and type any questions in the chat. I really want this to be a purposeful PD for you guys. I know that we are all into our new school year, our various different teaching situations. But I definitely want to let you guys know I am here with you guys. I have been through as a specialist teacher. I'm a computer science teacher by trade. So I know what it's like for PDs or how to make PD or how much more, effective PD or webinars are if they are give you some takeaway or are specific to you. So please, please, please feel free to type questions in the chat. We'll take the last 5 or 10 minutes to get some of those questions answered, or if you need any clarification. I also shared the slide presentation with you guys. So any of the tools or links that I used should be available to you all. Okay, so first, let me go ahead and make this bigger. To introduce myself, my name is Coach Hicks. My grown-up name is Victor, so on days that I'm not teaching, which I often forget, including when I call the bank, I do have a real name. I'm a 3rd through 8th grade computer science teacher here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am celebrating 21 years in the classroom. 6 of those wonderful years have been in computer science. I am a proud step team coach. I have been stepping since my HBCU days at Clark Atlanta University. And I really love the way that stepping gets kids culturally involved. It's a wonderful, wonderful art form. If you guys have not seen it, I suggest that you YouTube Step Africa is a wonderful group to reference. And that kind of trumped my love, or wrong word, built up my love for historically Black colleges and universities. And so what I do in my computer science classroom, and Google is an awesome tool for that as well, is combine what we call culture and code. So we are teaching the computer science concepts, but with through a culturally aware lens. All right. If you guys are on social media, I have shared my information on the left. No pressure, but I would love to interact with you guys there as well in case you have questions that aren't answered during the presentation. All right, so I want you guys pretty much to learn methods of, we'll talk about Google Classroom a little bit and ways to organize that. I know many schools are using Google as a learning management system, such as our school. I want to give you guys a great tool that I learned this school year, and that's creating interactive digital resources using Google Slides. The master slide is an awesome feature that allows you to create worksheets. It can make PDFs interactive for students, fill in the blanks, drag and drop. And if we have time before our questions, I want to talk about some practical ways to use your Bitmoji classroom, okay? So just to kind of set our tone of where we're kind of going, Coach is all about getting us streamlined. I think that one of the beautiful blessings of this remote learning experience is the amount of resources that teachers have been given. Where I think that becomes problematic is when we have so many different things that we're not norming what that process looks like. It looks great in the beginning, and this was, again, being very transparent, where I went wrong in March because, Nearpod was free and this was free. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use Screencastify, I'm going to use Edpuzzle. And then it got to the point I forgot what I was doing. And then, of course, my students didn't know because they were clicking 15 different things. So if we don't take anything else away from the Google tips and tricks workshop, I want you guys to take away the advice of streamlining, okay? And what I had to do, because I am all over the place, I love being a creative teacher, but sometimes I end up having my hand in too many different instructional cookie jars, okay? And what you really want to do is, what I did, and please feel free to use this tip, is this year when I started out, I created a table and I brainstormed all of the different things that I thought would be a part of my instructional lesson. So parent communication, here's the resource. Asynchronous video learning, here's the resource. Now, once I got my principal to agree or to kind of decide which learning management system, and Google was kind of our natural choice, I tried to make as many of those things Google related. So although I love the many, many features of Zoom, I had to think about, I teach from 8-year-olds to 14-year-olds. So if there's a way for my kid to click inside of where the assignment is, they click into a video, YouTube is Google based. I create my videos, upload them in my Drive. So that way everything they do pretty much syncs up. Because where you start to run into the biggest problem with students is that the more resources you use, you now start talking about the more passwords and situations that they have to remember and log in. The great part about Google, usually when they log in, if your kids use Chromebooks, any link that they click on is pretty accessible, okay? So although it is wonderful to use 15 million different tools, streamlining, in my personal opinion, would be the advice that I would give to teachers, especially teachers that are new to this, this virtual learning experience, okay? So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is Google Classroom. Now, I am a Google person. I love Google. You can, all things Google, okay? The one, if I would say complaint or I guess suggestion or growth for Google would be the amount of clicking and dragging and collapsible menus that happen in Google Classroom, okay? So what I tried to do was figure out some ways to make it visually appealing. Again, I'll keep using that word norm. As many things that can look the same from week to week for students, down to the fonts, down to the colors, down to the titles in your Google Classroom will help make your job 10 times easier, okay? And I do want to give you guys some examples. Now for these, I'm going to share these. These are live live links that you guys can use. And there's many other resources outside of these. These are just kind of the ones that I like to use. So my font generators, if you guys are not aware, you can't change the font within the Google Classroom interface. But there are a lot of workshop or outside websites that allow you to create or do what we call font or work as a font generator. All right, so generally what you will do is you'll type in a title, you can type in a paragraph, and I don't think there's any limit on the amount of text it will convert. And then it will give you usually about 15 or 16 different options of fonts with your text already in place. With those websites, what you can do is copy and paste the font that you would like to use and paste it into Google Classroom. Now, what I would suggest, again, we talk about streamlining and things being kind of the same. I have a set font for my headers. I have a set font, set font for assignment titles. I have a set font for instructional videos. I have a set title. So that way when kids know they see that print, and again, you'll have some kids, I think that's the great differentiation of remote learning. You have some kids that are going to be your Google Classroom gurus, right? But you have those ones that no matter how many times you explain how to access Google, they will forget that those are drop-down menus every time, or they will forget to click view assignment every time, okay? So the more that you get kids normed into visual clues, the easier they will be. And that has worked miracles from my oldest middle school children to my kindergarten babies and their parents, because sometimes I think the babies got it better than the parents. But yes, so that the fonts are an easy way for kids to identify different things, because unfortunately a lot of the icons in Google Classroom look similar. So what was happening in my class is that kids weren't sure what were assignments, what was material. So I was getting 10,000 emails like, well, I don't see what to turn in. And I'm like, honey, it's a video. It's nothing to turn in. But the more ways that you have, like I said, visual clues for kids to access your resources, the better. So in the same line of thinking, that I use the Emoji Keyboard. It's another website that you guys can use. And that is where now, what I will say, going back to the fonts, I would not use the font for your instructions, okay? It looks really, really cool, but that's where it kind of gets confusing, okay? So you really just want your they call them header fonts, to be your big picture, so your assignment titles. I don't think you can change the topic title font yet, but definitely for your assignments, or if you group your Google Classroom like me by weeks, it's helpful, because then they know where the instructional videos are, where the material, articles, et cetera, and then where the actual assignment is for the week or projects for the week. All right. And so, yeah, we talked about that. I will link that to the here too. I thought I already did that. So last but not least, major Google tip. Make sure that you record instructional videos for everything. And when I say instructional videos, not lessons. Okay, we want to talk a little bit more about having kids, like I said, any processes that you guys have inside of your Google Classroom, whether it be opening assignments, whether it be how to turn in assignments. That is another area where students struggle, especially if they have to attach files. You want to make sure that you have those available. Okay, now I have a YouTube channel, because what you don't want, where I think a lot of times teachers make the mistake, is we put a lot of our help videos in Google Classroom. Well, if I need help navigating Google Classroom, sorry, my Google speaker is a little too excited today. Keeps hearing his name. So when you go into those videos, you want to make sure those videos are accessible outside of your Google Classroom, because if I'm a kid who's having a hard time navigating Google Classroom, the video being housed there is not really going to help me get there. So definitely advocate for teachers having YouTube channels. I put the link in my email, so as kids are emailing me, they can go, oh, okay, well, go here. And a lot of times they don't have to end up sending the email at all. Also, another reference, a Google hack is I create an auto respond email. So what I have when kids email me, and I have it with our school network, so it's just, well, actually, no, adults get it too, but I get more kid emails as it is. But there's an email they get right away that has a lot of those questions answered. So it's like, hey, you need to submit an assignment? There's a link to my YouTube channel. Do you need to make an appointment with Coach Hicks? Here's my link to my calendar. So then that way you're not typing the same things in Google over and over again. Also, for the kid that's a very hard time kind of navigating through things, email that, and there's a direct, he keeps getting that same direct resource. The language, we're going back to norming and streamlining. So every parent and student are getting the same initial FAQ email from you. Okay. All right, moving on. Now, this is the thing I'm really, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, oh my God, I almost forgot it. So my friend gave an awesome tool today, and I had to shout her out for this and share this with you guys. I would never think about this, but she, good friend of mine, who is a teacher, one of the Flipgrid ambassadors. She's an MIEE expert. She's all the things technology, phenomenal young lady out of Brooklyn, New York. I've considered myself, meeting her has been one of the greatest, the greatest PLM moves I've had. So she gave a great tip about creating a Flipgrid help desk. So what she has her students do is they create a video, or she has them send a picture or send a text of the problem, and then they post it to Flipgrid. And I'm assuming, and she can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, she goes in and then I guess responds to the students' help desk needs. I thought that was pure genius, and I definitely wanted to give her a huge shout out for that tip. All right, so second, I wanted to talk to you guys about creating interactive Google Slides. Now, of course, there are many different ways to for kids to access, websites or things. But again, when we talk about pulling things into under that Google umbrella, it's helpful because now, again, if you want to share a document, if you want to post it in Google Classroom, it's a little bit easier to control students being able to access the doc or the whatever it may be. All right. So the way that this works, the big idea about these are creating a master slide. So the way that kind of works, and we'll go through the steps and actually walk you guys through it. The master slide creates a like your template. Okay, so you can do anything with this. If you want kids, you want to put a PDF, it will then make the PDF your background of your slide, and then you'll be able to add in text boxes for kids to add in the PDF. You can use it for drag and drop, for sorting. You can use it for matching. We'll talk a little bit about how to make that work, and then once we go through the steps, then I'll walk you guys through it. You can either follow along with me or watch and then go ahead and try it for yourself. Main idea is I want you all to all walk away today with at least one thing that you can put into your remote learning process this week. If you're like me, your lesson plans are due soon, so hopefully I'm giving y'all taking 5 or 10 minutes off your plate real quick. All right, so here's the steps. So the first thing you need to do, as of course, when you're creating this situation, is decide on your main task, okay? What do I want the kids to be able to do? Is it, identify? Are we defining? Are we sorting? All right. And you can pretty much use these any kind of way that you want. Okay. It's really your imagination is the world. I've linked videos and had kids do journal responses. You can insert these as, if you guys are fans of the digital journal, if your kids are doing literary, the world is literally your oyster. Okay. So the second step is, first you want to kind of create your template. So this is all happening in Google Slides. You want to go ahead, you can manipulate the pages if you want it to look more, notebook size or legal paper size. It's totally up to you. You can leave it in slide format, which I would recommend for younger kids because it gives them more room to work. All right. Once you do that, and again, so if you want, remember also in Google Slides, you can add elements outside of the picture, and kids will be able to see that once you do. So sometimes I'll put a think bubble on the side and say, hey, remember to, watch the video, or remember to, click through the next slide, or, complete the first 3 slides. And again, once they open up the document, they're able to see those, okay? Then you want to select everything on your slide. You do that by hitting Control A and then copy it. From there, this is where we go into the master slides piece. Okay, you're gonna click under slides in our toolbar. And again, don't worry about getting all these steps now. I just want to kind of give you the frame of what you'll be seeing. And then we're gonna go ahead and walk through these step by step. Okay, Under the slides toolbar, you're going to click edit master slide, and then we're going to click new layout. Okay. What we will do here is now we're creating this master. Okay. And then you're going to hit control, you'll paste it into this new layout slide. Okay. So now you have so similar to like if you think about Google Slides, there's like title and text, there's title and picture, there's title and two columns that are pretty much stapled, and once you open that, you can't move those around. So that pretty much you're creating another version of these that is specific to what you need. All right. So this is pretty much what you guys will look like. This is one of my awesome buddies, Stacy, who teaches with me, and a unit she was doing in ELA. And so this is now a master slide. Okay. And so when students see this, and you notice she changed the page dimensions. So any of these things that you see on the slide, so all of these questions and graphics and directions, students would not be able to manipulate any of this. So if she shares this with them as a kind of like a just regular Google slide presentation, is now set with only things that she wants them to be able to change. Now they'll add those in here. So that could be text boxes. Let's say if she wanted this to be a drag and drop, I could have, put the circles, a text box that says circles, a text box that says triangles, and then add the shapes. And then the students would be able to manipulate only the shapes, okay, without messing up my graphics. All right, so then once you've now created the master, we're gonna exit out of there and go back into the original slide presentation. So now when you click new slide, if you guys are familiar with Google Slides, it gives you the options of the layouts, right? So now this option comes up as one of my layouts, okay? And it gives me, now I can put text boxes in here, this was where the kids did agree or disagree. So the kids can I will put text boxes in all of these corners or all these boxes, and then they would be able to type in the appropriate space, okay? And again, this speaks to any setup. You want to do sorting. If you want to do, again, you can do a video response here, post a YouTube video, have kids type out a response in the text box, and then they can submit that. Now, the cool thing we did is that she did a whole unit with the Hate You Give. So the kids ended up basically with a notebook or a digital notebook of activities that they could use. Now, again, because she shared it with them, she could create and have pretty much them have their whole unit plan there. Now, as a teacher, what I would recommend that you always have a master, because remember, there's also going to be versions of these slides that are not set to be backgrounds yet. So make sure that you keep them somewhere where you can you have them all in one place as well. Okay. Okay. So what I want to go ahead and do now is have you guys go through and we'll go through creating one of the slide presentations and go, and then again, if you decide you want to follow along, you can, or if you would like to just watch me go through it and then try it out later, you're absolutely welcome. Okay. So let me exit out of here. All right, and Krista, just so we can break up the monotony, do you want to take a couple of questions now? We're about at the halfway point.
Yeah, sure. So we have a couple questions. One is somebody wants to know if the font generator is an extension. I'm a little confused how it works.
Okay, so the font extension that I use is actually a website. So if I think I can share my screen. Hold on. Trying to think, is it font? So here's one. So this one is just a website. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So like here, if I wanted to do, okay. So you see they pop up on screen. And then what I can do is go ahead and highlight and then copy and paste that way. And then the cool thing is in Google Classroom, outside of the topics, you can it'll paste anywhere. Now, my Bitmoji one, not to keep saying Bitmoji, it's a lifestyle. My Emoji Clipboard is a extension. So that's in my Google Chrome browser. And that's called, I think, and I shared the links for you guys too, but that one is the Emoji Kit Keyboard. And I found that one just works a little bit better with Chrome because it's built. Some of the other ones, the fonts have worked, all the different font ones have worked okay. The emoji one was the one that had some syncing issues. So I would recommend, yeah, definitely use if you have a Chrome or you use Chrome, I would recommend the
Chrome extension.
The extension.
Somebody else just asked, I think I missed the Emoji Keyboard. Can you explain that, please?
Okay, I don't know how, because I told you I'm a Google person. So can you all see my extent? Can you all see up here into my browser, like the, okay. So here is Emoji Keyboard. That's it there. And then what you do is, the cool part is once you click on it, now if you want to put words behind it, you don't really have too much room with the font here, but this is automatically copied to my keyboard. So now when I go into Google Classroom, so again, I use the camera for my instructional videos, okay? And then so I would hit Control V, it pops up in Google Classroom, and then type my title, copy it, paste it, and then type my instructions. Now, the first time I did this, like in March, I had like calligraphy. My kids like, what is it saying?
Keep it simple.
You know, middle school children are so tolerant of us adults. They're like, Coach Hicks, I don't know. So again, learning from trial and error, you want to, keep it the things that you want them to see. So that way because I'm pretty sure all 300 of my teacher friends will be able to say, the one thing that drives us crazy is, I don't see it. I don't see it. Did you look for the calligraphy? And see, now in my syllabus, that's there. So I have I have lessons, and whatever font I used here is in the syllabus. So I tell the parents, if you can't find the words, look for the type. It's there. It's
Brilliant.
always the same.
So brilliant. Last question.
Okay.
They just want to know if that Emoji Keyboard was an extension.
That one was, yes.
Okay.
Now I will say they do, if you don't use Chrome, if you are a Microsoft person, you can use the Bitmoji website, the Emoji website. I just found that using Chrome, it worked a little bit better with the copying and the pasting. The fonts were fine, but the emoji, sometimes I would look and then I would go to Classroom and it wasn't staying.
Awesome. And for those of you guys watching the chat, Michaela just dropped the link to the Emoji Keyboard, so you can get that there. But I'm gonna hop back out and let you take back over.
Okay, so I'm going to create, because I gave a little bit of, and being a specials teacher, I know that you guys, we teach everybody. So I want to make sure that all teachers feel the love today. So I'm going to create a drag and drop activity, okay? Which is one of the things I love. It's great. I know I always feel bad when I do the PDs at my school, is making sure that we find ways to loop kindergarten in. The great part about this is that if you would rather not use Google Classroom with the littles, the great part about it is once you can publish your Google Slides to the web, you can, if you want them to, you can share the link. The teacher hacks I love is that when you share a Google Slide link, if you change the edit to present, whenever the kids email or access the link, they only are able to watch it in present mode, which means they're able to interact with the slides, but they can't change any of the things. Okay, now remember, you don't want to do that. Now, that works for drag and drop. You don't want to use that option if they have to actually fill in the blank. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is start off with a clear background. Okay. All right, now you want to go ahead and add everything that you can do. So I'm just going to go ahead and add 3 shapes. Okay, now a cool thing I love with Google, if you want everything to be the same size, I'm going to go ahead and title this first because I want all that to be the same. All right, I'm going to go to the top here. All right, And now I'm just gonna hit Control D, which if you guys did not know, duplicates everything. Awesome tool for Google Slides. And make these a little bit smaller. Okay, and then we can just go ahead and change. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and change the background color. I don't think that it normally does not translate. I wanna show you guys this way first. Okay, now again, remember the one thing you wanna remember is that anything that you tend to, that you want the kids to, you wanna create that now, because once you're done with this piece and you save it as a master, you won't be able to go back and edit that part, okay? One of the tips I would also say is that you also want to make your, the areas that you don't want, make them visually clear, okay? Especially for little kids. So if you guys want to make the borders a little heavier, that's also helpful. So the kids are able to tell the difference between what's what, okay? Another way to help so that they understand, they get kind of more of the effect or the visual effect, is to go ahead and format your boxes, okay? I love drop shadows. Okay, because that allows them to see. Okay, you don't necessarily have to be this extra like Coach Hicks, but I like being extra. Okay, so that just kind of gives you, and again, it makes it a little bit more visually appealing. Of course, I would have made this a lot prettier. I would have my Bitmojis, and then, like I was telling you guys before, remember you can move things, anything that you add off of the side of the things. If I want to add my directions off of the slide, they'll be able to see this too. Okay, now we can go through the actual, let me show you real quick just so you see what I'm talking about. Okay. And typing your instructions. You can tell I don't teach little kids appropriate. They're like, uh-huh. Okay, now if you drag this off to the side, it still counts as a part of your presentation, okay? So now the next thing I wanna do, I wanna go ahead and let's say this is all of the things I don't want, or this is all the things I want as non-negotiables, right? I don't want the kids to be able to drag these things. There's no reason for them to interact with these. Now I wanna go ahead and select everything. So I'm gonna hit Control A. Okay. Now we want to add a new master slide. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Slide. You wanna go down to where it says Edit Master. Okay. As you see, these are all the ones that they already have set up. So if you wanna create a different layout, okay, go ahead and delete that. And now we're gonna hit Shift Control V. Oh, wait a minute. That did not do what I wanted it to do. Control A, copy, Control C. Now we're gonna go back to the slide and apply, edit the master. Okay. And now we can hit Shift Control V. All right, so that actually, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I was supposed to hit Control V, but that is pretty much the concept of how it works, okay? When you guys go back, you will end up, this again for the sake of time, this will be on your master slide, okay? You'll go from here, and now had I created this, so of course this would look like this, okay? But just to kind of give you a visual of the steps, you're gonna go ahead and click here, and then this slide will pop up, okay? So now once you're on that slide, and I'll just show you because of course I'm not going to share this with students, you can just kind of get the idea. This would all be locked into place. So when students see this, now they wouldn't be able to drag this, any of this. The directions would stay put. Now as a teacher, what you can do, so now this is now your background. Now you can start adding in the things that you want them to manipulate. So if it's a drag and drop, you can of course add shapes or text boxes if you want them to fill in the blanks. You would just open a text box and give students a space to type, okay? Now for this one, if you guys are not familiar with Google, you can go ahead and use the shapes here. Okay, so let's see if I want to use I'll do my squares first. Okay, now once you get the size that you want, and again, you may want to make these, the borders thick or add a drop shadow if you want, just so the kids know that they're there. I would also avoid making these, leaving these white, okay? Kids, usually it's easier a visual if they have color. All right, I'm gonna make my border a little thicker just so that they can see it, okay? Now, what you'll do, go ahead and use that Control D. Okay, and now you have your squares, okay? And then you can go ahead and do the same thing for insert if you want to do triangles, and then the kids can now drag these to where they need to be, okay? And remembering, like I said, unfortunately that copy and paste piece didn't work. It's Control V, not Shift Control V, to paste it correctly. And then this would all be locked in for them. So you're able to go in and drag your shapes to where they are. Well, then the kids will be able to drag the shapes to where they are. So then now you can share this in Google Classroom. Each kid will end up with their own copy, which would allow you as a teacher to see each kid's progress, or if you want to grade it, if it's in the case of the worksheet, that's another option. Okay. All right, and last but not, and again, now also another reference point I would say to you guys, or a piece of advice, if you guys are going to use this, like when I use it for my classroom, I have all of the things for the week. Okay, so I have a master that I've created. Now, sometimes with my kids, it differs. Sometimes I give them all of the materials. And again, remember, you can also use this for instruction. So if you don't want them to add anything, if you want them to just have a page of reading, make the whole thing into your master slide. Take the passage of text. I've used it for crossword puzzles and actually created a crossword puzzle. I think it was in one of the puzzle generators, and downloaded it, and then just added it to my slide as a PDF. I mean, as a picture or JPG, and then the kids would then added text boxes for the kids to type in. So again, there are several different ways that they can do this, and then this puts it all in one place. So if you're like me, you like the idea of binders and journals, then this gives them one place for all of their work for the week. All right. And so the last thing I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about, and I'm not, because I know I'm one person, like after it gets to be so many slides, my eyes glaze over. I have kind of come up with some really good tips and tricks with Bitmoji classrooms. I know a lot of teachers like the visual appeal of them for students as far as engagement, but kind of struggle with knowing what to use it for. Now, for me personally, I use mine a lot for my Google classrooms. And what I say is that, so the Bitmoji classroom is pretty much how my students access their resources. For me, I kind of use Google Slides as a digital trapper keeper. Okay, so I use my Bitmoji classroom, instead of having the kids navigating the drag and drop down menus, excuse me, you can link, if you click the three dots next to an assignment or a post or anything in Google Classroom, and you can generate a link. Now, when kids click that link, it doesn't take them through your stream. It takes them directly to that assignment, and the assignment comes up in full open mode. Okay. Now, the great part about that is I said, well, I teach big kids. They're fine. They won't need it. It is a lifesaver because the great part about it is, for whatever reason, kids, I've found that it may be different for different classrooms, but it has increased my engagement tenfold when we talk about kids being able to access the classroom, because what I was finding is that kids would get frustrated accessing Google Classroom and that would be it. So any link that they need now, again, if I have some that are more detail oriented, so everything that they can get from Google Classroom, they can get from in my Bitmoji classroom. So I think when we talk about equity, when we talk about kids, or even differentiating the access, how are the kids getting to the materials? My tech savvy kids are definitely finding it a lot easier to navigate a complex system or a more complex system. My kids that may or may not, the great part about Bitmoji classrooms is they can usually, if you save it as a PDF, or in that case, you can share it and just change edit to present. Now parents can pull it up on their phone. So I had kids last year who, didn't have a laptop or didn't have access to, and mom would say, hey, I can't figure out, hey, let me email you that PDF. And then when mom was using those links, it opened up just that assignment for her or for the kid and for the parent, the family, in Google Classroom. And so again, that helped bring a lot of those kids that were struggling with the signing on, so that would be my major thing. Also with Bitmoji Classroom, make sure that I kind of have a staple area. So if you guys create that background that we talked about, so you're going to use the same banner or the same chair or the same desk, you can also use that master slide so that you're not recreating your whole classroom. Now, if you're like me, I don't want any parts of that. I want my pillow. I need my color scheme. I've had a Maleficent classroom. So each week, but if you don't, if creating Bitmoji classrooms for 2 to 3 hours is not your thing, which is okay, that's another hack to make it a little bit easier. Okay. All right. Well, I apologize, guys. I'm a fast talker. I'm from Chicago, so I talk a little fast.
We got some questions.
Okay. Yes. So that gives us. I saw when we had one friend that wanted to see something. So yeah, let's.
Yeah. She just says she has. So we have a couple. So it says, how do you view their work in classroom? Is it in the classroom drive automatically? So
yes. So what? Okay. So let me see if I can give you an example of it. Trying to think if I have a Bitmoji classroom that's open, I can just add it. So, okay, let me go to classroom first. So what will happen is that if the short answer is that anything you add to your, sorry, God, I should have probably created don't look at my kids' names. Fine. All right, so in here, when they go through classwork, okay, so if I click here, okay, and do copy link, it will take them right there. So then they're not, I guess I'm trying to make sure I don't say this the wrong way. They're still going to classroom. So they're still opening your assignment, if you have them doing a Google file or, doing whatever the takeaway in Google Classroom is, they're still seeing that. The difference is they're not getting this whole classwork piece. So if I use the link, now, let me see if it lets me give you an example. So let's say if I pasted this in my Google Classroom, this is all they see. So you see, it takes them out of the class. They don't have to worry about navigating through the whole menu. It just gives them this, but it still gives them the video that I want them to see. So if this were an assignment or a worksheet or a Google form or whatever the resource is that you want them to do, then yeah.
That's so awesome. One other one really quick says, I'm in middle school and I have several classes. Can you link in your Bitmoji class and have all classes access to it? So can you create one document and then have it linked to all the different sections inside your Bitmoji classrooms?
Let me tell you something. I am an electives teacher. I teach 600 beautiful, beautiful scholars. And when I tell you, I believe in working smarter, not harder. So yes, what I would do is I create a that situation for departmental teachers. And again, I'm a fan of multi-slide Bitmoji classrooms only because so I guess to give her the answer would be like my main room is where my kids are split. So it's like click here. So I have like my banners, I have the HBCU banners. So the kids would click here to go to, you know, Miss Johnson's 4th period class, you know, click the Spelman flag to go to, and all of my classes are named after HBCU. So that's how they click into my class. So then it links them to their Google slide, if that makes sense. So there's like a landing area where they see me, and I'm there. My emoji so ridiculous. They see me and all their HBCU flags, and then they click that one. And in that same slide presentation, it takes them to their class and their resources. Now, if your middle schoolers are all kind of doing the same thing, then yeah, you could do that. Only tricky part is that the links are specific to each Google Classroom. So let's, like, you know how you can create one assignment and post it in different rooms. The link in Miss Johnson's room is going to be different than the link in Miss Davis's room, even if it's the same assignment. So that's the only thing. The only time it gets tricky is that, and that's why I say I would suggest kind of doing the landing area. And then if you're going to use this method, then have each your departmental classes have their stuff there. And then, like I said, sometimes my individual classes may just have 1 or 2 links. So it might just be a picture of my Bitmoji and then the book that they're supposed to read.
I said, thank you. That explanation totally helped. One more question, and I know you're going into Bitmoji next, so this might lead into it. It says, how do you create safe links on Bitmoji Office? Just YouTube? ?
I use a couple. You mean as far as like keeping them from like being picked up off of like your school firewall, or just like making sure the links are like appropriate? I want to make sure I'm answering that question correctly.
Yeah, let's see if Jacqueline, if you want to clarify a little bit more so that Victor can answer you. If you drop it in the chat, we will definitely see it. And then while she's doing that, if you want to go ahead and show the Bitmoji stuff that you're going to get into, Victor, you can do that.
I was just going to kind of talk to that. So if you want to keep taking questions, we can. I think that might be more helpful the last few minutes to take a few more. I mean, I can share mine. It's not really that fancy right now.
I bet we beg to differ. Do you recommend a journal which students can use? An online journal is what I'm guessing.
And I would say, yeah. So yes and no. Now, if you are, so like for me, a lot of my computer stuff is pretty much the same. Okay. The only reason that it's kind of hard with journals is because it may look different each time. Now, if you do want to kind of use the digital journal idea, I would say create ones that are almost kind of like in sections. So, because I guess the way, like let's say if you're working on a unit in geometry, then you're going to want those pages to have a lot more room for students to draw. Remember, once you share it out with them, that you can't add slides back into the presentation. Because remember, in order for the kids to type into each individual box, you have to make a copy for each student. So once you do that, it is whatever it is. So I mean, if you have a pretty, I do, because in computer science is usually like identify, one question, talk about what you learned in coding today. What was one positive? What was one, thing you could have done better? Define problem solver. So I do, and because mine only change per unit. And so I'm in a unit for, with computer science, sometimes 6 to 7 weeks with a project. So yeah, I would just say make sure to make them make sense. Like I wouldn't try to be, do one for the whole year. Like, if you're doing like short stories, because I think your journal questions will be specific to that. If you're doing more like, this is kind of like a brainstorming, so yeah, just I would say keep them small.
Makes sense, more manageable that way. Do you have time to walk us through how you share with students so that each student gets their own slideshow to modify?
So what you want to do, the key to it, and what I had to learn the hard way, is that you have to do it in the creation of the assignment. It's the one thing that Google does not let you edit. So in classwork, you want to create an assignment, okay? And then when you add your file, okay, and I'll just use, if I have one of mine. Okay, and also, okay, maybe make sure I don't forget to add this point. If you are sharing a document, okay, if you ever want the kids to get their own, so like, I know a lot of times, like people do content area teams where they create resources, or grade level teams. Make sure that you make a copy of, if your colleague creates it, it has to be in your drive, not shared. That's the thing. I'm like, no, it's on there. Kids like, I can't see it.
You didn't own it.
If you don't want that, that 28 third graders looking at you at 8 o'clock in the morning, go, hey, I can't get on it. Yeah, life lesson. So make sure that you make a copy in your drive. So let's say I want to share this. Okay. You want to change this here to make a copy for each student. Okay. So then that way they get their own copy of the slide or the presentation or the journal or the whatever it is that you want them to add. Now, remember, the thing to take away from this is that once you submit the assignment, that's one thing you can't go back and edit. Okay, so if you want them to that's one of the things, like when I'm posting my assignments, of course, because by this time I am lesson plan crazy on Sundays, do that first. Because like I said, nothing is worse than you created this beautiful, document and all of the things are laid out and the kids start typing and then there's 50 kids typing in one text box. Yeah, not fun.
We get to learn from our mistakes, which is nice, because if somebody else already made them, then we can not do it.
Listen, two things: learn how to laugh at yourself and learn how to give yourself grace.
Oh, amen to that. All day, every day with technology. So I love Bitmoji. Can you please give a super quick tutorial?
Okay, I will. All right, guys. I told myself, I said, I'm not going to be that teacher today, guys, and pull out my Bitmoji classroom and have him dancing because
I'll bring the dance in, Victor, bring it.
My middle school, see, I have to be because, I'm judged daily by the harshest critics on earth. So, I thought I was really cool. And they're like, nobody's on Snapchat anymore, Coach Hicks. We don't. I'm sorry. I thought I was cool. But anyway, let me pull it up from my drive. Okay, now what I will say too, though, guys, if you guys are looking for ways, I know, the whole culturally responsive teaching has been a huge thing, and I'm so happy to see that. But I do want to tell you guys that this is Google Bitmoji classrooms have been one of the ways to get that kind of stuff in. Unfortunately, a lot of times we're talking about instruction and having time to do things. Those kind of cultural and social studies related moments kind of get pushed to the wayside. So you definitely want to, this is a great way because now you can have kids access field trips. You can have them do, so many different activities independently. I tell you, like, the great thing I love about remote learning is that you're able to get so much asynchronous learning, like that stuff in during the asynchronous learning. Amazing. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna start running my mouth and pull this thing up. Okay. So here's mine. So I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. And these are just some things that I wanted the kids to be able to see. So we did a thing about the HBCUs. Our next unit was here. So of course, now because I know how my brain works. So like clicking on me takes you to my appointment calendar. So what I did is I clicked here. Let me see if I can show it in present mode. Okay. So now when the kids click on me, it takes them to my appointment calendar. Okay. And then again, you can pretty much make it do whatever it is you want. My laptop, you email me. Okay. So that you want to make sure that the links make sense. That is one of the other things. Like sometimes people are like, yeah, click on the pillows to go on a field trip to France. And the kids are like, okay. But so you want to make sure. So quick thing to link each of your options. Let me leave present mode.
Oh. That's funny. Somebody was like, how do you do those links? And you're like, gotta do it right now. Just read your mind, people.
Thank you. Okay, so what you want to do, whatever it is that you want to link, go ahead and click. Okay. Now remember, if you can't use it, if you do use the master slide idea, anything that you want to link, don't make those part of your master. Okay. Then you'll right click here and then you'll click, where's my link button? Oh, here we go. Okay, so your link button is here in your toolbar. Now, the cool part about it is so my departmental teachers, my specials teachers, if you want to do a Bitmoji, and you can really organize these by units, really. And so you can also link it to different slides in your presentation. So let's say if I wanted to use the idea of each homeroom having their own slide, I can link it as long as I have the slides created. Okay, so you have like a blank, you have 4 classes, create 4 blank slides, and then you can link Ms. Johnson's class. Now, if you want to do a website, so let's say I want to add this to Google Slides. Okay. Now, what happens is in present mode or as a PDF, now students are able to, when I click present and a student accesses this, they're automatically taken to Google Slides. Okay. So now the way that I would do this for Google, to go back to that Google Classroom example I gave you, one of these would be the assignment. Okay, so technically, Johnny could come in this room to his heart's content and never go back into that craziness of Google Classroom dragging and dropping, right? And then Johnny can access all the other assignment pieces here, because if he clicks this picture, it's the instructional video. If he clicks this picture, it's the Padlet. Now, mind you, all that stuff is also linked in Google Classroom. Oh, secondary life hack, sorry. For all my differentiated folks, you remember you can also tailor your post per kid. So if Johnny needs this visual and not the Google Classroom confusion, don't post this material to Johnny. Give Johnny this. I would only send Johnny to Google Classroom to turn in the assignment, which means as I'm posting, and let me go, but I'm gonna have to come back, girl. See that? It's,
oh, heck yeah.
So when you go here, like when the kids, you can set this by kid, okay? So this is how you can differentiate in Google Classroom. So now if I'm given, let me take my children's name. I can't give these my real kids. So if I have Susie, and Susie is on that list, Susie might be in that group so all of Susie's stuff is here. Now she's still getting the Bitmoji Classroom with the links. Okay, but Susie also has every step of the assignment in Google Classroom. For Johnny, I'm only posting the assignment to Johnny. So I'm unchecking his name because all of his resources, I've normed it for Johnny to go to my Bitmoji Classroom. I'm emailing that to Johnny. I'm emailing to his mom. If grandma comes up, everybody in Johnny's family gets this email from Coach Hicks with this Bitmoji link. That's all Johnny needs to do. Well, Johnny can't sign. He don't need.
That's so brilliant.
Click the Bitmoji, Johnny. That's it. And then that gives me 2 weeks to meet with Johnny. And then the day of, now in my breakout rooms. Oh, by the way, Google's rolling out the breakout rooms this week, y'all. With the breakout rooms, now I meet with Johnny during my office hours, and I want to meet with Johnny, and we're turning this assignment together. So everybody else has gone through it. Because, Susie wants to get her work done on Monday because Susie's done. Susie wants to get it all out the way. So she can, but then it doesn't overwhelm Johnny going in here and looking at 9 assignments at one time. Because that is where I lost kids. I'll be very honest with you. My middle school kids, if I went crazy in Google Class, and they were like, Coach, you're tripping. And that was it. So I was like, okay, I like seeing y'all. So let me go back to the drawing board. But I hope that some of those, those are some practical things. If, question did get answered tonight, I am so open to, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. And then Krista, you can share the slide presentation out too. I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah, everybody will get a replay of the video and the slide deck, which is awesome because I know I want to go back and pause and watch and pause to practice. One quick question, somebody says, how do you create an appointment calendar? And I feel like that's probably a super useful thing.
Yes, okay, so in calendar, now let me also give you all this piece of advice because I made the mistake. When you do appointment slots, don't send out invites. Okay, we say that again. When you do appointment invite, because what happens is every time somebody makes an appointment, everybody you invite, it's like I invited like my faculty and staff. I'm like, hey, these are the times you can come in, and I sent an invite to all of my staff. So every time a teacher responded, it was all of the teachers got the email. And also, I wasn't too popular that week. All right, so when you go into calendar, you want to create a new event, and then you want to choose the appointment slots deal, okay? So then you need to decide what you want your office hours to be. Now, I like mine to repeat because they're the same time every day. So you still have all of those same options. So let's say my office hours are going to be 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every day, okay? And then you can repeat this however you want, okay? So let's say I don't like children on Monday, so I'm only trying to see them on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, okay? And then you can decide if you wanted to keep going. I had mine set to the end of the quarter because I just have this crazy feeling we're going to be back here in Georgia by October. We're going, you know, one step at a time, and then you're going to click done. All right. Don't forget to set up your slots and how long you want the kids to have. Okay, and then add your, it should be a Google Meet. Let's see. Oh, it's not giving me a, Okay, but yeah, I went ahead of myself. So in that scene before that, go ahead and add your Google slide presentation, your Google Meet link, okay? Now, when you do this, let me see, okay. You want to share this link with kids, okay, or teachers or parents, whoever you want to be able to have your office hours with. This is how you share it. So in my as a part of my Gmail signature for work, that link is in my calendar. Or the link to my calendar is in my email signature, okay? So now the cool part about it is that link never changes. So anytime I set up, as long as it's on this calendar, so I have one that's just, you notice mine, the one for work is actually in pink. So that's its own calendar. Then that link stays the same. So then whenever I click that link, then I'm able to see, and the kids, it pops up like this. So like if I have if somebody made an appointment, then it shows up with the teacher or the student's name, and then the Google, you just want to make sure you set up the Google Meet. Okay.
I love this right now. This is totally rocking my world. Thank you, Daniela. I know we could be on here forever learning all the tricks and tools. I think definitely I would love to have you back. Victor, because we have so many questions.
At least, I mean, people listen, you know, I'm in my school, it's just me. Somebody's like, oh, computers Hicks. I'm like, can somebody just talk to me though, please, about it?
Yeah, they're asking if there's a Google extension that can be presented live in Google Meets where they answer questions and results can be viewed in the presentation.
So what I would say is my advice, I was going to do a Meets thing. I wanted to share breakout rooms with you. My best advice for you guys right now, my Google folks, is just if you can avoid adding anything to your Google Meets, I would say wait a week. Because what's starting to happen, what we found out with breakout rooms today, is that Google is rolling out a lot of stuff on their own. And so a lot of their extensions like the breakout rooms, the attendance, they're coming out with something for like the grid view. If you notice, a lot of those extensions are starting to malfunction now because Google is rolling out a lot of these things this week. So I would say if you can, I mean, you still use Google Meets, but as far as like, there is an extension that does that. Short answer, yes, but I would say it probably wouldn't be worth, because I would hate for you to get used to it and then it's going to stop working in a week.
And they change it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. This has been so helpful. Might we look forward to a webinar about breakout rooms from you as well?
Yes. Well, like I said, I mean, it actually was on my agenda today. I took those slides out as I was signing, because I was like, what I didn't want to do is give you guys, you know, all of these tools. And like I said, I love but I had to change my lesson last minute today because breakout rooms was kind of going a little wacky. But then too, a lot of the stuff is, I guess, you know, because a lot of our major school districts went back this week too. So if Google's giving you guys problems, another tip, yes, a lot of his pages, I know Drive crashed this morning. That was fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's another way it's teaching us humility and grace. I really do believe that technology right now is like
word. You hear me?
Oh my goodness. You're getting a lot of love of this was awesome. You totally rock. You could go on for hours with tips. Thank you. I'll be using my master slides in my planning tomorrow, which was one of our number one things, was that we wanted you to walk away with something that you can do right away.
Y'all, please, listen, I am not that teacher. Y'all, please I want you all, because let me tell you something. Ain't nothing like walking in the lesson plan clinic and having that collar popping moment. I want y'all to show out. Don't tell me nothing. Don't tell me, look, I don't feel bad. I want everybody on this part, I want to hear all of these wonderful things. Oh my goodness, and this teacher came in. Yes.
Yep. Perfect time.
Spend 33 hours tonight on your lesson creating master slides. I will not bust you out.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Victor. This has been amazing. Honestly, I have learned so
Well,
much.
thank you for having me. It has been I love this kind. It's one of the, like I said, I'm really trying to focus on being intentional about being positive about the, this craziness we're dealing with. And that's been one of the things I said. I'm just so, the amount of collaboration that this has given us as educators is phenomenal. I just really pray that now as a school, as a community, we start to look at some of these and say, hey, the great part about remote learning is we've come up with some best practices. We really have. Like the amount of teacher creativity, the amount of teachers that are creating their own resources, the people coming away from textbooks. I mean, it's just, y'all are doing a good job, y'all. I know
Some real change is happening. And I love that Yuritsa just dropped a message to you. Thank you. Honestly, you guys want to follow some magic happening? Follow Coach
Please,
Hicks.
let me tell you, Yuritsa, all of the students, like all of that student engagement, take her stuff, y'all.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing. I have to take my hat off to her. Listen, I'm not worthy. Oh, y'all, before we go, I'm sorry. One thing I had to share with you all. If you have not been on Google Earth, if you don't, the other things, social studies teachers, dance teachers, art teachers, they have these field trips for these kids now that are absolutely amazing. They have this thing that's dedicated to Black history. It's called Journey of Us. And literally, like, it's a journey of dance. And what it does, there's dance, there's technology, there's TV, there's activism, and there's 6. And pretty much what it is an interactive thing. It's 9. And as the kids are clicking it, it's flying them across the globe. So for the dance one, there's a thing on Alvin Ailey, and it flies them to Harlem. Dance Studio of Harlem. It flies them to Harlem, to the studio with the GPS coordinates that the kids, and they can look at it in either real time, or they can look at for some of the locations, like what it would look like in, when these things were happening. It is, I think Google Earth is one of the most underused resources. Because it's just so much. It's no way to even, the kids can create their own journeys. I tied it in with, speaking of Yuritsa, wonderful thing today with our, I do a Black Girls Code Club at my school. And so they did a journey of technology. So they did the Journey of Us, the technology, and they had to choose one of the, Black women that made a significant contribution to technology. It literally took them from Hidden Figures up to now. And then they recorded a flip.
Another webinar on virtual field trips. I'm taking notes, people, so don't worry. We're going to get back. We're going to make sure.
Listen,
Victor back here.
I can convince my principal. I can do this part-time,
Oh my gosh. Well, we're a little bit after the hour. Thank you guys so much. You will be getting, yes, I love this so much. Yeah, you're getting so much love and appreciation, and what a great example of sharing. I think right now collaboration for educators across the world is the best thing we can do for each other. So thank you so much for your time, your expertise. Thank you guys all for the love for Victor in the chat, and we look forward to more with you, Victor, and thank you everybody for being here. Make it a great day.
Awesome. Nice meeting everyone.
Thank you so much, Victor.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.